Got the command truck.
Whoa! Woo! Hello and welcome. You are gaming with me, Brothgar, and the Battlefield Hardline beta is now over, but we have been exposed to just about every single game mode in this game and several maps on it as well. And I tell you what, after playing the Battlefield Hardline here, the beta itself, I was relatively impressed after the first one, but I am super impressed after the second beta now because Battlefield Hardline is unique in the Battlefield series. It actually does feel really quite fresh, and that's kind of the conclusion that myself and many other friends came to when we were discussing this the other day. Now, what makes Battlefield Hardline so fresh? Well, first and foremost is a couple of the unique game modes. Obviously, this is the kind of generic stuff that everybody's going to really know, but I mean, of course, you have Heist, you have the Blood Money, and you also have Hotwire mode, which are the three modes that we have been exposed to, as well as Conquest, and all of those are relatively unique, except for Conquest, which is just typical Battlefield. But there's a lot more than just the new game modes that are really pushing to make this game fresh. The Battleback thing has been in Battlefield for a little while now, but now it is finally something that is actually a little bit more dynamic, a little bit more interesting than we had in the previous editions of Battlefield. And once you open a pack, you get these items that you can then use as vouchers to unlock certain components of guns. And that's kind of the other thing, is when you actually go to unlock equipment in the actual game itself, you basically get money and you can pay on it of whatever you really want. I mean, there are some weapons that take a unique mission to unlock first, but in generic, and most of the stuff is just you have to have the funds in order to buy it. And that adds a really unique dynamic to the game when you are first starting off here, fresh into the game. I mean, one of the first things I did is went and picked up a repair torch. Not so much that I was playing the engineering class, I just found myself being in vehicles a lot with other players, and having that repair torch was going to be advantageous to our team's ability to score points. So therefore, I would pick that up and add it to a loadout, and I would spawn in as an engineer if I was going to be a passenger in the vehicle. But it's those little decisions like that that have really made Battlefield Hardline feel a lot more unique. And by that, I mean there are a lot of different weapons that you can find on the actual map itself. We saw this in Battlefield 4, but there are actually a lot more, and they're relatively generic weapons instead of just being the super special elite stuff you saw in Battlefield 4. You're able to make that part of your actual gameplay flow. And it's those little decisions like that that really push Battlefield Hardline to feel relatively unique, even in a game mode that is very standard to the Battlefield series like Conquest. But the one thing that is really standing out that makes Battlefield Hardline so unique in the franchise is the fact that there are no heavy vehicles. Now, I'm not talking about the battle wagons that you get that do have a fair amount of armor to them, or maybe the large fuel tanker trucks. I'm actually talking about you don't have tanks, right? And you don't have these armored personnel carriers with very large primary guns. And what this does is it really changes the dynamic of the gameplay itself. Now, in previous Battlefields, if you were not the right class and you came up against a tank, you were basically just hoping that it would go away or somebody else would help you out, and you were pretty much at a loss, depending on what you had available to you in that exact moment. However, now in Battlefield Hardline, you may have a car coming at you, and you are able to at least address that with your primary weapon in such a way that it doesn't feel like the vehicles are overpowering the soldiers. What this does is actually changes the dynamic of the game, which makes you feel a lot more empowered as a foot soldier. Now, you take that empowerment that you have in the individual now, and then add it to the squad dynamics and the ability to change your different loadouts and unlock different equipment that is going to complement your actual squad itself, and you feel like you're making a lot more decisions on the fly that are to your tactical advantage. One example of this might be the actual heist mode. When you go in to clear that first building, you might want to bring in a shotgun. If you end up getting killed and your teammates are moving that package now out into the more open scenario, you're going to change your loadout and take a weapon that's going to have a longer range. Little decisions like that are really pushing Battlefield Hardline to increase the pace of the gameplay as compared to previous Battlefields, and allow you to make a lot more strategic decisions. All in all, it basically makes Battlefield Hardline feel very unique in the Battlefield series and very refreshing. Many players that I have talked to previously were not terribly excited about Battlefield Hardline at the very beginning, but after playing these few betas now, are definitely looking at the game and are very much leaning towards that day one purchase. At any rate, guys, those are my opinions of what makes Battlefield Hardline feel so fresh. If you agree with me or you want to add to it, maybe you want to leave that in the comment section below. And of course, if you disagree, you know what? That also works down there too. As always, guys, thanks for watching. I will see you in the next episode. Have a great day. Peace. Brothgar out.
Got one by the compound. They're all over me, guys. I got fucking. Landed the charge. Who the fuck is there? Fucking grenade. Guys, suppressed over here. There's one by the compound. Guys, down.